Welcome to Monster Men
Arg.
and
That was a
Prosper.
logical arg.
Arg and Prosper. All right, today is a very special episode of Monster Men. We are here to pay tribute to a legend of the genre and somebody who has meant a lot to both of us. Hunter, why don't you do the honors?
Well, Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock, and the voice of In Search of has passed on.
And he's one of those guys, I think every other episode of our show, we cite In Search of as part of our training as a monster man.
Everyone's talking about Star Trek right now. I mean, that's all I hear is Star Trek, Star Trek, Star Trek. I'm telling you, in the horror community, the writer community, In Search of is the seminal show for us. I can't tell you how many guys in their bios, or if you just talk to them, say, yeah, I grew up on In Search of, I was weaned on In Search of. So, I mean, that had, to me, a bigger impact on my life, but Star Trek was enormous, too.
Well, I think when I was a kid growing up, there was Channel 11, weekend afternoon or nighttime. Star Trek was your first sci-fi.
Yep.
Besides Lost in Space, it was more serious than Lost in Space. So you'd go play Star Trek. Then you had Chiller and Creature Feature and the 4:30 movie for your horror. Nice. Then Star Wars came along to kick up the sci-fi thing. So you had this horror sci-fi marriage that the 4:30 movie and other things would. So it was all kind of blended, and the two seminal figures that sort of got you on your way were Kirk and Spock.
Yep.
Then when In Search of came along, we were a little bit older, and we're still young, but when you're 4 or 5, you're watching Star Trek. Now, when we're 12 or so, or maybe 10, 12.
I think I was 8 when it first came out. It came out in 1976, so I was 8.
Okay, so we're the perfect age for a show about the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot. And as we said in your book signing about the Montauk Monster, if Leonard Nimoy was the host, it brought validity to the whole thing. Because we're well, it's Spock.
Well, yeah, exactly. I heard Spock say it in a very serious voice with some really creepy music, so this has to be real.
I would love to go back and watch some of these episodes because there was no internet and no Wikipedia and no anything no science even to fact check. So I would love to hear, what some of the stuff. There was now you posted the Amityville horror episode, on our your Facebook page, and I posted the Bigfoot one. I watched the whole Amityville horror one, and it's very entertaining.
There are parts of that episode that are creepier than the movie. That was the thing, is the show was always creepy. I was just watching before we came on In Search of Glenn Miller. First of all, didn't know he was lost. Glenn Miller was way before our time, but he disappeared in a military plane in 1944 and was never found, and no one ever searched for him.
What?
Yeah. So, any conspiracy theory aside about, what killed him, that's just cool to know. And that's what In Search of gave you. It gave you all these tidbits and stuff that, we absorbed like sponges when we were kids, man.
And when In Search of came on, it was almost like, when the Batman credits would come and you knew it was a Batgirl episode if she came in and kicked. You're like, oh, it's a Batgirl one. It was sort of a similar thing with In Search of, where you turn it on and you were just praying that it was one about ghosts or Bigfoot and not the Mayans or something like that. You're
or Don't Give Me Life After Life.
Yeah, you're come on, I'm a ghost!
Yeah, if I look here, because the beauty is all the In Search ofs are on YouTube now. There's a In Search of channel.
Oh, there is? Because I was going to buy the DVD pack for $100-something.
Oh, why bother?
No.
They got ones In Search of the Shroud of Turin Part 1 and 2 that I was
yes!
Love that as a kid. Not too crazy about Sodom and Gomorrah. There was a lot of religious stuff in here.
Yeah, Noah's Ark was probably in there.
Psychic Sea Hunt. Oh, The Money Pit. I love The Money Pit.
With Tom Hanks?
My lungs are constricted. Yeah, you know what? Growing up a little Catholic boy, I mean, there's In Search of Noah's Ark. There was like so many things. I was like, oh my God.
The
Like,
Shroud of Turin, that was always a big one.
yeah.
Well, so I loved Star Trek. And I have something I wanted to show you.
Yeah, let me see this.
So remember how when we met, what was one of the things we talked about first that we had in common?
That we shouldn't tell anyone what we just did the next day.
No. There was an item we both owned about Spider-Man.
Oh, the Spider-Man rock opera album.
Right. Well, right next to that in my collection was this.
Are you kidding me?
It has 3 episodes on it.
Oh, look at the comic art in the back. That's awesome.
So, one of the stories is called In Vino Veritas. That is where I learned that phrase.
Really?
Yeah, this guy Coriolanus Quince is on the Enterprise, and he gives everybody wine, and they can't help but tell the truth.
Right.
And they're like saying mean things about each other and stuff like that. It's awesome. So it's not the real voices, I don't think.
Oh, are the
but
voices the people who did the cartoon on Saturday mornings?
Well, that's what I wanted to say is, so you had the original cast did 3 years of the series, and I love the original series, but there was always kind of a slowness to some of it that, like, when Star Wars came out, you were like, oh wow, it's fast. I love Star Trek, but I love what Star Wars is bringing. Like, I was never an either or person. I liked both.
Yeah, me too.
But then I loved, except for the first Star Trek movie, I was so happy that they had made a Star Trek movie with a cool new Enterprise, and then it was so freaking boring.
Oh, I hated everything about that movie.
But then
Hated.
Wrath of Khan happens. And that is to this day on my top 5 movies of all time. Now,
it's like they sat down and they said, "What is the essence of this show? Let's get it all back." You know?
Here's Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock on DVD. So I go see Wrath of Khan, and I'm like, oh my God, they freaking nailed it. But Spock dies.
Oh, that was killer.
And there were 2 movies I walked out of a mess. Spock dies, Han Solo's stuck in carbonite. Except with Han Solo, I'm more scared because you weren't sure they were going to make a sequel.
Right.
But with Wrath of Khan, I don't know if you remember, but around that time, Nimoy was like writing books called like I Am Not Spock.
Yes.
He was like sick of being Spock. So you're like, crap, he's dead. So they make the sequel, but if you read the news around the time it came out, you weren't sure if he was coming back or not.
Yeah, because he did not want to be associated with that character at all anymore.
So it wasn't until like late in the movie that you're like, wait, are they going to bring Spock back but make him younger and recast him? Is he just not going to make it?
Right.
And then, finally he gets there. I saw Search for Spock 2 days in a row. When I saw it opening night and then again the second night, because people I knew couldn't go the first night. I was like, I'm not waiting for you. I have to know. I was like at the first show, opening night, and then that movie, has aged. But there's some, 2, 4, and 6 are like the Star Trek movies that get the good, the even ones are the good ones. But Search for Spock has some great stuff in it. It's like the movie kind of falls apart once it gets to the Genesis planet with Christopher. What's his name? Christopher Lloyd is the Klingon. But the stuff like stealing the Enterprise and all that was awesome.
Which was the one with the whales?
That's the 4th one, and that one Leonard Nimoy directed.
I don't remember anything about that, but it's the one with the whales. Like Search for Spock, I'm going to tell you, I have seen it since it came out in the movie theater.
See, for me, I'm all about the Star Trek movies. I loved them. I love the whale one. It's hilarious. Like, if you go back and watch it, if you go back on YouTube, you can watch some of the scenes.
Right.
Double damn on you and stuff. So, for me, those movies, but Nimoy, all right, so they had the Star Trek cartoon between the original series and the movies. They cast Shatner, Nimoy, and like Doohan, and then Nimoy stood up for George Takei and Nichelle Nichols, and he was like, "If you're not going to have them in the cast, I'm going to leave." And
Right.
they were like, "We don't have the budget." I was like, "Well, then you can't afford me either." And George Takei just wrote this on the internet today. I was reading it.
Oh my.
Oh my! So they were the voices of that. Then Spock is like the only one that's been in, like, he was in the Next Generation,
Yep,
he was in the movies, and then he was in the reboot movies.
that's right. Yeah, he's the common thread. No more. Not
Yeah.
after back to Kirk.
So do you remember what other major TV show besides In Search of and Star Trek he was a part of?
Leonard Nimoy?
Mm-hmm.
Was that wasn't Mission Impossible?
It was Mission Impossible.
All right, there we go. For some reason I was going to say Mod Squad. I should have just stuck with my original answer and be positive. Yeah, I mean the guy was a legend.
He was. He was in. I didn't watch it, but he was in that show Fringe too.
I didn't watch. I did watch an episode of Fringe, and then I realized it was so complicated that I didn't have time to follow it, so I gave up.
He had an awesome appearance in The Simpsons as himself.
Dude, what about he was on The Big Bang Theory? Remember?
Oh
when he
yes,
voicing himself as his Mego action figure,
yes.
which I wish I had. I had all of them, man. I had the entire Star Trek cast, and I had the Enterprise, and I had the transporter that you spun.
I'm so jealous. I never had any of that.
Oh my god, the
I
captain
wanted it.
chair.
My friend Jimmy had the Star Trek blueprints.
Oh my god, people used to be crazy for those blueprint things.
I do have this though, but I didn't get this until I was like out of college.
Where no one has gone before.
It's another one of those big books I like.
You are the coffee table book master.
Ooh, I just opened up to the Green Chick page too.
Yeah, that was nice.
Just to go right next to Hammer Glamour. But this was one. This book, I kept looking at this in bookstores, and I think it was around my birthday, and people are saying, "You're so hard to shop for," whatever. And I would literally like pick up and I go, "This is the kind of stuff I like."
Yeah, exactly.
And like nobody bought it for me, so I ended up like getting a good deal on it somewhere.
Jerks.
Son of a bitch.
I think you got to make the next. You have to make the Nimoy coffee table book. That's going to be your task.
Well, I did read one of his books. I read I Am Spock. He wrote I Am Not Spock, then he embraced it.
All right.
I
Well,
read,
good. I would.
Yeah, you gotta.
It gives you an entire life. You become an icon. First of all, you can't complain about being an icon. I'm sure the paparazzi weren't following him around like he was a Kardashian, so just take it.
George Takei said about Spock that they were gonna have Spock.
Oh, I'm sorry. This Bigfoot just
There was a
walked by.
Bigfoot sighting.
Yeah,
Um,
that's just theory and conjecture.
I heard that the abominable snowman is also around.
Bubbles bounce.
Oh, I forgot what I was talking about now.
Railed. I did it.
Oh, so there was like Spock was supposed to be stronger, so he like punches out somebody, and Nimoy said, "Well, Spock's logical; he wouldn't waste all that energy," and so he came up with the neck pinch.
Oh, how many people did you give that neck pinch to when you were a kid? I mean, really pinch them. So I come on.
Ta-da!
Yeah, Dana. And they would just go, ow, 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 you're hurting me.
So if you want to see something funny, go watch like the extras on Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock on like the Blu-rays and stuff. There's an interview with Shatner, and he's talking about the end of Wrath of Khan and the whole remember and all that stuff, and then how Nimoy ends up directing Search for Spock and all this, and he's like, "Yeah, bullshit." Like you say, "Oh, we weren't sure he was going to come back and everything." He's like, "Don't tell me they didn't have this whole thing planned."
Right. Exactly.
But it is pretty clever of them that they left that open. That they left the back door.
Yeah. No, I remember. I walked out of there like numb. Wrath of Khan, I was just like, I just can't believe they killed Spock. That's just insane. You can't have a universe where Cock is alive, where Kirk is alive, and Spock is dead.
Well, I'll tell you, in the remakes, whatever the new ones, they retread the Wrath of Khan thing with the two new actors, but it's at the beginning of Kirk and Spock's relationship, and it's only the second movie you've seen these guys in.
Yeah.
So there's no weight to that. Whereas when Spock dies in Wrath of Khan, you're like, I've known these guys my whole life.
Right.
And now he's dying. And when they're saying goodbye to each other through the glass,
oh my God.
I'm like, yeah, I was a mess.
And you're a guy who walked out of Sophie's Choice laughing.
That was hilarious.
There was no choice at all.
Flip a coin, move on.
They're both going to disappoint you anyway. No, but I mean, it is sad that Nimoy passed away, and now we are left with Kirk, Chekhov, Sulu, and Uhura.
Yeah, do we have a Deadpool for the Star Trek?
Is Nurse Chapel still alive?
No. Majel Barrett.
So yeah, that's it. That's all we have left. And some Tribbles.
Yes, Tribbles. There's some great Priceline commercials with Nimoy and Shatner that you can look up on YouTube, where they're like saying to Shatner, like, "Well, we don't really need you anymore as a spokesman. We got somebody new." And he's like, "What? How could you?" And they're like, "Oh, hey, Leonard, how could you talk about?"
You see the controversy that Shatner didn't go to Nimoy's funeral?
Yeah, he said he had a commitment at like a charity event for the Red Cross or something, and he said, "Okay, you're knocking me for this, but if I had left and done it, you would have knocked me for leaving it. So, you know."
You know what? I don't buy that. If you died and I had a thing going for the Red Cross, I'd be going to your funeral. Because, if we were truly friends.
I feel like I don't care that he went or not. I feel like that's between him and Nimoy, and that's if I don't know I love Shatner, but I'm not going to lose any sleep what he does. I don't know what he's like as a real person. I just know what he's like on TV.
Yeah, him not going to the funeral is kind of in line with everything you hear about his person.
Yeah,
but big deal. I don't think Nimoy cared.
Well, he didn't have emotions, so except when Ponfar happened.
Except he was boiling with lust and rage.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, dude, how many times did you grab a rake and then your friend grabbed a shovel and you were doing the sound too, like Cable Guy? Oh, we used that all the time.
Absolutely.
And Nimoy tweeted not long before he died too.
Oh, I retweeted his last tweet. It was a beautiful quote about. Well, here, I'll look it up while I'm.
Yeah, because that was eerie. First of all, it's weird that an 83-year-old is, chucking stuff out there on Twitter.
When
no one is dying.
You got to wonder if he's writing his own tweets anyway.
True.
Let me see if I can find it.
Maybe had Takei do it.
Oh, it's all gone now.
It was a nice tweet. It was quite.
Well, you people out there in YouTube land, you can look it up yourself.
You Twitterers, you'll find it.
Yeah, you Twitterers. If you tweet in the bathroom, you're a schwitter.
I do a lot of schwitting. Especially at work. For some reason, if I'm schwitting at work, seems to be a good way to spend 5-10 minutes.
Just don't talk on your phone while you're doing it.
Oh, God, no. Are you at the public pool again? Cannonball!
And the Leonard Nimoy conversation just goes right into the toilet. Literally.
Terrible. What a way to honor his memory, ending it with schwitting.
Yes. Well, you know,
That's why Vulcans didn't like humans. We're idiots.
yeah. We're illogical.
Totally. Well, we'll miss him, but I got to tell you, I thank him for my entire writing career because it is all predicated on that show and his voice. Because I got to tell you, a lot of times if I'm slogging away at some book I'm writing and I'm really not in the mood, man, I conjure up his voice talking about the Mayans or Bigfoot or ghosts or whatever, and it just creeps me out. And I go I want to be able to affect people with my work the way he and that show affected me when I was growing up.
That was supposed to be Rod Serling, and he either died or he was too busy to do it or something, but he got the gig. And I'm telling you, I don't think I would have liked the show as much if Rod Serling had done it.
Well, it would be hard to say because Rod Serling was Twilight Zone guy. I don't know. Nimoy just had a haunting voice.
That's what I'm saying. I probably would have liked it, but Nimoy's narration was just awesome.
Top notch. The best ever.
Oh, and you gotta go. Are you familiar with his music?
Bilbo. Yes.
He's got a great version of If I Had a Hammer, I'd Hammer in the Morning.
Oh my God, I love that version.
And he does a killer version of I Walk the Line.
Oh, that one I haven't heard of.
So when I was in college, we discovered all these albums of like Shatner and him.
Right.
And there's a great Golden Throats album you can get that's got a lot. But now you can just find it all on YouTube anyway.
Yeah.
But the Bilbo song is just...
Bilbo
Baggins.
I think Howard Stern used to play that. That's how I first heard that way back in the day. Well, we'll miss him. That is the greatest ever. You have to bring that to my house because now we have I was going to say we have 2 turntables and a microphone. We have 1 turntable and a microphone.
Oh, awesome. Well, I know about the microphone.
So yeah, bring that
I'll
over.
bring it over. I'll leave it out here, and next time I'll come over.
Beauty.
All right, well, this is our tribute to Nimoy.
Rest in peace.
You are and always shall be my friend.
The needs of the Squatch outweigh the needs of the hunter.
Or the one. All right, well then that's gonna let me. I'm looking for my control panel here.
Go off into that good night.
It is. All right, so we will see you next time on Monster Man. Grr, arg.